Good morning. Welcome to Workforce Skills with John Morris. Another day out here in Phoenix, Arizona. The weather's cool. We missed a ton of rain. I think the rest of the country got hammered with snow this last week or so. We're one of the fortunate ones. It doesn't affect us with work out there as long as it's not raining. We're still going. We're pretty much working 7 days a week out here. It seems like there is work going on. We're working 24 hours around the clock. We got night work, day work. Everything's going on. It's amazing. But one thing I want to talk about today is chaos in the workplace. It seems like, or maybe it's not so much the chaos, it's the friction, or when people start butting heads or have disagreements in the workplace amongst employees. For me, it's difficult to sit back and watch this happen, and it creates chaos, and it creates problems, and it creates a situation where people start walking on eggshells around each other, and we can't have that at work. You are here to do a job. You're here to come to work, focus on what you have to, get it done, and move on. You don't have to like each other at work, but you have to work with each other. You've got to at least be respectful to people. And here's the thing, and I think my wife said this the other day. She said, you don't have to respect the person, but you got to respect the position that they're in. And it's if they're in a position and they have a job to do, you have to respect that. You have to follow it. If they tell you to do something and they're above you, it has to happen. Now, when the conflict happens is when two personalities hit and you just can't get along with each other. We had that recently here within our company where two people just seemed to have a problem with each other. They couldn't get along. They're butting heads. It wasn't just back out in the warehouse. It was coming into the office, and it was just the emotions, the feelings, the attitude. It was out of control. And so had to stop, had to say, hey, you know what? This has to stop. I'm the type, if there's a problem, I want to confront it right away. I don't want it to fester. I don't want to let things linger. If I have a problem with someone, or if I'm thinking something, I want to get in front of it. I want to talk about it and get it out in the open and get over this. There's no reason to let it fester. Because what happens is we start overthinking it. We think, oh, they think this or they're thinking that. And then when you deal with this situation, it's not even what you thought it was. And so with this situation, the bottom line is I had to sit these two down and tell them that you guys need to figure this shit out. You need to figure out what you're going through, what the problem is, and get past this. We have a job to do. You have to work together. You both have to deal with each other every single day. And if you can't, someone's got to go. Someone's going to lose their job because I cannot have this. And if they can't figure it out, then, hey, I might just have to let them both go. And that's not what I want to do, because both of them bring such value to the company. There's such value from both of these individuals for their jobs and what they do for the company, and their performance is top notch in each position that they're in right now. So knowing that, I need them to work together. Now, this morning, after all this blew up, and I basically sat them down again, I said, did you guys bear the hatchet? And the answer was yes. But at the same time, as an owner of the company and trying to deal with this situation, I also had to put my foot down and say, okay, here's the deal. I respect that. I'm glad you guys worked it out, but I'm going to let you both know at this moment, if either of you do this again or act like this again, I will have to fire you. I'm going to have to let you guys go, because we don't need this in our company. We don't need this attitude, this chaos. And I get that people get emotional, they have feelings, but when you come to work, there's no room for your feelings and your emotions in a workplace. You cannot bring that to the table. It's going to affect your performance. It's going to affect your outcome. And if it gets to the point to where you're so frustrated that you have to leave and go home that day because you were so worked up because of another person or what they did, man, I tell you what, I can't believe you would let somebody control you that much. No one is ever going to say anything or do anything to me to where it's going to control me, to where it affects my behavior, affects how I'm going to react. That's just letting someone have way too much control of you. You can't do that. I can't let somebody else's reactions or actions cause a negative reaction for me, or cause me to react a certain way that is out of my norm. I must stay in control of the time. And I think that's something we all have to look at in our day-to-day activities. It's if you're out there working and there's something that happens and all of a sudden you get pissed off and you're angry and, I can't do this. I'm just going home. Man, you let somebody else control you, have that much control over your actions, your reactions, and what you're going through, man, you got to stop and think about what you're doing. You need to take a step back and say, okay, wait a minute. I'm not going to let this control me. It's no different than when I quit smoking cigarettes many, many, many years ago. It's looking at this little stick and saying, man, how am I letting this thing control me that I have to have one of these? It was many, many years ago. I think it was around Christmas time. And I was sitting there at the time thinking about what my New Year's resolution was going to be. And I'll quit smoking. I thought, wait a minute, why am I setting a date and time for this? Why am I letting this little thing control me this much? Control how I'm acting or reacting? No, if I'm in control, I'm going to do this right here, right now. I'm not going to let this thing dictate to me when and how I'm going to quit. I'm going to do it right here, right now. And I threw everything away. I got rid of all my cigarettes. And during that time with my kids growing up, I never smoked in the house. I never smoked in my vehicles. It was always outside or at work. And I thought, okay, if I'm going to do this, it's mind over matter. If I can do this, I can control anything. I can make this happen. I'm going to control myself. I'm going to have full control of the outcome of this situation, and nothing else is going to change this. And I was able to do it. And I've never picked up a cigarette since. And we're talking, it's probably been 15 years now, maybe even longer, 20 years since I've had a cigarette. And so to be able to look back at that and think to myself, man, if I can control this, if this is mind over matter, I can control anything. And then as time goes on in life, it's like I look at every situation and I try to look at it in a logical sense. When you're making a decision, whether it's work or it has anything to do with financials or trying to better your life, sometimes we have to take the emotion and feelings out. You have to think strictly logical and financial to make something work. And that's called control. When you look at people that are successful, they are the ones that are in control of their emotions. They're in control of their feelings, and they don't let other people control the outcome. They control it for themselves. We have to learn to control our own outcomes. We have to learn to control how our reactions are to everything around us. Once you start doing that, everything in your life starts changing. You can change every small detail in your life just by controlling how you react. And if you can do this, man, the changes happen. When I'm teaching class and I tell these guys, I want you to focus on you and your job for 6 months. Be selfish. Focus on just that. And I promise you, watch the changes happening. We've got a guy that works for us. I've just promoted him to senior project manager. And we did a ride along yesterday, went and walked quite a few jobs. We were having some issues on. I need to get my eyes out there. And I haven't been on the jobs in probably 4 or 5 months. We just have way too much going on. And I shouldn't have to be out there on these jobs because I have the right people overseeing them. But once in a while, I need to get out there. There might be a problem. And just because of the experience, it's going to help them out. And as I'm riding with this guy working for us, and we're talking about the job walk and everything that we did and talking about his new position, he's going through some personal stuff in life. And the conversation with him is focus on you and your job for the next 6 months. Don't worry about anything. You're starting to, you just got a raise, you got more money, you're in a situation to where you're about to get your own place. It's time for you to start thinking about you. What's going to be best for you? And as we did this, we started talking about financial things and the money we spend and what we spend it on. And it's interesting because me and my wife, we go out to eat maybe once every month and a half. It's not very often. And we will go to a higher end restaurant and probably spend more than we should on that meal. But then talking to other people, I talked to a buddy of mine 2 days ago, and we were talking about this, and he was going out for a dinner somewhere, and we go out to eat three, maybe 4 times a week, and it's $30 to $40 each time we go out, whether it's fast food, whatever it is. And I'm thinking, man, you do that every week? You spend more money than I do going out because I meal prep every week. I watch what I put in my body. I'm taking control of what happens with me. When you start not letting things affect you and you start taking control, you will see so many different things in your life. So many different aspects will change. Your health will change. Your energy will change. Your financial situation will change. Your decision-making changes. When you start focusing on what's best and what makes the most sense, the emotions and feelings, I get that we all got that. I go through it. We all go through emotions, feelings, sadness, happiness, anger. It happens. But if you can learn to control it, I promise everything will start to change. It starts I think when we're children, we're raised to, cry or blow up, or we get angry. We don't like things when we get it. We need to learn as children that life isn't always fair. You're not always going to get what you want. But we can learn to control the outcome by doing certain things a certain way. Within my business, I'm looking at every aspect. Every decision I make within this business has nothing to do with feelings or emotions. Nothing at all. And I don't want this to come across the wrong way, but at any given time, I promise you, I could fire every single employee in my company. I'll start over tomorrow if it comes down to it. And there would be no feelings. There'd be no emotions involved. It's just, if that's what needs to happen, that's what's going to happen. Now, I don't see that happening. Right now, when I look at all of my employees and I try to figure out who's my weakest link, we don't have one. That's a great place to be. I don't have a weak link in this company. I don't have a situation where I need to let somebody go. Everybody is working at the top of their game until they get emotional, until their feelings get in the way, and then they cause themselves to react a certain way. That's where I have to have a conversation. Now, with me, I'm probably a little more lenient than most owners or most businesses. I probably give guys a little too much rope. I give them probably a few extra chances than they probably deserve. But I also believe in embracing the failure, embracing the mistakes, and learning from that. How are you ever going to grow if you can't have a mistake, learn how it gets fixed, and proceed? That's how I've grown in this business. Man, if I had $1 for every mistake I made, I'd be a multimillionaire just on mistakes. But I've learned from every single one. I try not to make the same mistake twice. It's just like if I'm trying to teach someone to paint and I show you how to do it once and maybe you don't get it. I have to show you a second time. And maybe that second time I show you a little bit different way, or maybe I verbiage it different, or, some people are better at visual learning versus reading or explanations. That's me. Show me how to do it. I can learn faster that way than reading how to do it. That's why I love YouTube videos. When I'm trying to figure something out, I just look it up. How is this done? And I watch it and it's easy to do. But if I've got to show you a third or fourth time and you're just not getting it, sometimes that might not be the right fit for you. You might not be the right fit for our company. You might not understand this. Maybe we need to find something different for you to do. Not everybody is fit to work in this company. Not everybody's fit for every single job that's out there. You've got to find the right fit. But at the same time, those feelings, those emotions, when you go to work, you got to leave them outside the door. The business, the workplace is not a place for this. It's going to mess you up. And if you can't control it, if you can't control your reactions, you are going to have problems. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't care about your feelings and emotions. There's a time and place for it. My door is always open for someone to walk in. Let's sit down and talk about this. But when it's affecting the entire company and everybody's walking around eggshells around whoever's having these issues and these people that are blown up at each other, and they can see that the anger or the emotions on your face, and you're wearing them on your sleeve and everybody can see it, and they're walking around eggshells, that's not a healthy environment. That's a toxic environment, and that has to stop and has to change. We can't continue down that road. So at that point, things have to change. At that point, I have to get involved. I have to step in and I have to make a decision, and we need to nip it in the bud. And yes, maybe they need to yell at each other a little bit and get it out of their system, and okay, we're done, move on. That was yesterday. Today, we're proceeding on as if it never happened. The hatchet's buried. Let's go. It's game time. It's work time. Let's go. Let's get stuff done around here. We don't need to focus on that. Now that that's out of the way, we can be productive. But now I've got to look at all the situations that happened during that time that shouldn't have happened. The unproductivity, the walking on eggshells, everybody not sure what to do around these people. We can't have that within the business. You have to work cohesively. You have to work together. You don't have to like each other, but you got to show up and do your job. I had one of my painters walk up to me today, and he's like, "John, man, I know I've been working with this other person. We've been together for a couple months. Man, I need a break from this person." And I get that. They've been working side by side for the last few months. And, sometimes when you work with someone, you see them more than anybody else in your life. You will spend more time with someone you work with sometimes than your family, your spouse, your friends. And when you're around somebody that much, you need a break sometimes. I know this to be true because me and my wife work together. We work together, we live together, we vacation together, we go to gym together. And I know sometimes on a Saturday and Sunday, if I'm not teaching class, I'm at home. She schedules her nails or hair appointments. She does that to help me have a break. It gives her a break too. Sometimes we need to get away from each other. We need that moment to where we're not around each other. It's not that we hate each other, not that we, oh my God, I can't stand you. No, it's just, hey, we're around each other all the time. Let's take a little break. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. But talk about it and understand it with the people that you're with. And I would highly recommend talking with your coworkers about it. If you struggle, talk about the stuff you're going through. Working with someone every single day is no different than a relationship. You're around this person nonstop. You're going to get to know their likes, their dislikes, who their sports teams are, what they did last night, what they did on the weekend, about their relationships, their kids, everything. It can be overwhelming sometimes. And if you need the break, it's not a bad thing. But it's how you go about it. It's how you handle it. It's how you bring it up. Now, my painter that brought this to my attention, he did it very smooth. He goes, John, I'm a little embarrassed about this. I kind of been thinking about this for a while. I didn't know how to present it. And I go, well, just spit it out. And he explained it to me and he did it very professionally. And I can respect that. Okay, let's finish out this week, finish out this job that you're on, and then we'll make the switch. We'll make the change. I'm going to make it happen. They're both great individuals. They're both great painters. But it sounds like they just need a break from each other. And maybe moving them on a different crew is going to help them learn new things. They're going to do different things. Now, one of them has less experience, one has more. The person that asked for the change, he has the more experience. So maybe for the guy with less experience, me making this change is going to help him grow even more. And the guy that has the more experience, he's a great instructor, great teacher, and he kind of helps everybody around him. And he's a solid dude. He shows up every single day. He sits in our logistics meeting. He knows what's going on everything. And so the way he did this, it really impressed me this morning. It made me realize that this guy's got potential, and he's doing it the right way. He left the feelings and emotions out and just said, John, here it is. Here's what I'm going through. I need some help with this. No problem. Let's fix it. Let's make this happen. We're going to work on this together. You have to. Whether you're in a relationship, whether it's personal, whether it's business, you have to get through these things. You can't just blow up at the drop of a hat. You can't let somebody else say something that's going to get you so upset that you lose your shit out of nowhere. You can't do that. And you're going to destroy a relationship at home if it's with a significant other. You're going to destroy your work situation. You're going to lose your job acting that way. It's just so unprofessional. It's so unbecoming of anybody to do that. We have to hold ourselves to higher standards. We have to hold ourselves to a level that we respect people and we respect ourselves not to act that way. Because how do you think that makes you look in front of everybody else around you? How do you think people are going to look at you the next time when there's a situation? They're okay. Are they going to blow up? Are they going to lose their shit this time? What's going to happen? Don't be that person. Be professional. If we could learn to hold ourselves to a higher standard, a higher professional level, whether it's in personal life, whether it's in business, the changes will happen and people will respect you a lot more. Right now, the respect level has to be earned. You don't just get respect. You have to earn it. And sometimes people think, oh, the position, it demands respect. Yes, you have to respect the position. But if you want people to respect you as an individual, as a person, you have to prove yourself. You have to prove yourself worthy of that respect. Doesn't mean you just get it. There's a lot of people out there that, with the men and women that work for me, I'm the type, my glass is always half full. I believe, I trust them. I give them the benefit of the doubt until they prove me wrong. Other people, they're going to look at you and say, I'm not going to trust you till you prove me right. You got to show yourself. Neither way is right. Neither way is wrong. It's just how people perceive things. It's how people are going to perceive you out there. And how do you want them to look at you? How do you want them to, as you're working out there, or you're dealing with things in life, how do you want them to look at you and remember you as? You want them to remember you as the person that can never control your feelings and emotions. You always fly off the handle the second something goes wrong. You don't know how to handle yourself. Or you want to be the person that they thought, man, he's always level-headed. She's always cool. They've got everything under control. They don't let anything rattle them. That's the people I want to surround myself with. Our new senior project manager, one thing I really noticed about him here recently is that he stays cool under pressure. Nothing gets him rattled. He deals with each situation as it comes and he moves forward from that. And that's somebody that's got a level head. That's how we should act in life, in our personal, in business, everywhere. We need to be level headed about this. We need to stop and think about stuff. If you feel like you're going to blow up, like somebody did something and you're just going to lose your mind, that's the moment you got to stop yourself, step back and say, hey, wait a minute. How am I going to react to this? How are people going to see me reacting to this? So stop and think about what other people are going to think because of your reaction. Is that how you want them to perceive you? As the person that loses their mind every time, or the person that has it under control? So to be able to control yourself, stop yourself, recognize the moment that, oh man, last time I lost my mind on this one. I'm not going to do it this time. How am I going to change? When we can start to recognize those moments that we struggle, that's when the change really starts. That's when the growth really starts within ourselves. When you can look at yourself and say, whoa, last time I did this, I'm not doing this time. That's growth. That's change. That's what we need to look at in our own lives. Anyway, guys, I thank you for joining me. Like and subscribe. Once again, stay hungry.